Hello guys, from this video I will be starting a new video series on Access database tutorial for beginners. And in this first tutorial I'm going to show you how you can create a new database and how you can create tables inside your database and how you can uh, give columns to the tables and how you can insert data to the tables. And I will be creating these videos on Access 2007, but if you are using Access 2010 or Access 2013 also, you can follow these videos because there is not much difference in those two versions of Access. So let's get started. First of all, we need to create a database. And what is a database? A database is an organized collection of data, right? So let's create a database in Access. Now, if you have already installed Access and you don't know how you can start Access, you can just go to your start button and search for Access here. And you will see somewhere in the search result Microsoft Office Access and the version you have. Just open it and it will open this for you, Microsoft Access. Now search for the option called blank database. We are going to create a blank database. There are several templates also for the databases which you can choose, but I'm going to teach you the basics. So we will start with the blank database. So just search for the option called blank database, which is this, and in here uh, on the right bottom side you will be able to see this file name. So this is the name of the database you are going to give. Okay, so here you need to give the name of the database. So for example, I want to create a database of the employee information. So I will give the name to the database as employee info database. Okay, employee info. So I will be creating this database and I will insert some table in my employee information database or employee info database, and you can save your database in the specified location. By default it will save your database in your documents folder, but you can change this default location by just clicking this button, and you can just change the location. For example, I will create a new folder here and I will name it as access database. Okay, so once again access database. Okay, and inside this folder I'm going to save my employee info database. Okay, so I will click OK, and then I will click this button called create. And once you click this button you will be presented with this screen, and here we will be creating the tables, we will be creating the columns in the table, and we can insert even the data into the table. Now whenever you create a table, for example this is default table which Access has created for us, but for example you click this button and you click this button without saving it, then this will not be saved inside your database. So I click this cancel button and now you have the blank perspective. Yeah, so because we haven't saved this table, it will not be included in your database. Now let's create a new table in the employee info database. For that you will see here some tabs, right? And so these are called tabs, and in here there is a toolbar, and you can choose any tool to create or do different stuff here. So what I'm going to do is I will go to this create tab, and I will choose a table. And when I choose this table, it will create a table for us. But first of all, before creating a table, we want to design our table first, right? So I will just click this button, design table, and you will be presented with this perspective. And in here, this is the field name, data type, and description. Field name is the title of your column of the table, and the data type is the form in which your columns will take the input. I will describe this data type in detail when I create some column. And the description, by the name, you know, if you want to give the description to your column, you can give it here. So let's get started. So for example, I want to create a table called um, employee employee data table, for example, right? So employee data table, what it can contain? It can contain employee ID, employee name, employee surname, phone number, country, city, whatever you want to um, have in your table. So we will start with employee ID. So I will say this table will contain EID, which means employee ID, and the data type of this employee ID will be a number, right? Employee ID can be a number, or it's better to give it auto number. What auto number does is it will increment automatically, and you don't need to increment it by yourself. I will show the demonstration and you will understand. So this means the data type is the form in which your column will take the input. So this employee ID will take input in the form of number, right? And because it's auto number, it will be generated automatically. You can give text, data type, memo, number, date, time, currency. There are many different data types here, but employee ID is for example, auto number. And here you can give description. For now, I'm not giving any description here. The second column name, for example, I will give is name, and it's not necessary that you will, give this name in capital letters or small letters. You can give it in any case, but just remember, don't give any space like name, whatever, name. So don't give any space in between. It's not a good practice. Okay, so just give the name of the column like this, or you can give the name of the column like first name. So I haven't left any space in between these two words, right? And this first name data type will be text. Yes, because data type for first names are the strings of words, right? So or word, so this will be our text data type. Now the last name will also be a text, right? Because last name is also a string. Now for example, we want to give the date of birth of an employee, right? So I will name my column name as DOB, which stands for date of birth. So I can give the description here. DOB stands for date of birth, right? And date of birth is a date. So data type will be date time here. Now you can do certain things with your date data type. So when you select this row here, which is DOB, you will be able to see this general property fields here. And the first field here is the format in which you want to show the date. Okay, so there are different format you can show your date. You can show a date like 19 minus 06 minus 2007, and the time also. You can show this like this, 19 and the full month name in text, and then the year 2007, or you can have different format. So for example, I've choose this format called medium date. Okay, now there is a way in which you can also input the value, which is called input mask. Okay, so for example, I want to input the value in the form, in some form. Just select this and just click this three dot button, and you need to save your table first for that. So I will say yes, and I will give the name of my table here. Okay, so I will say my table name is employee data. Okay, and I will click OK, and I will say yes. So you immediately see here my table name change to employee data here, right? And now I have input mask wizard, and in here I can choose this input like this. You can choose in which form you want to give your input, and it will show in the form you chose in the format. So I will choose the same input as I have given the format here, but you can choose any input type here, and I will click finish here. Okay, now we create, for example, country, employees country. So this country will be a text, and for example, your employees or your company is located in a specific country, for example USA. Then what you can do is you can give a default value to a column also. So for example, I choose this country row or column here, and I go to the properties, and there is a property called default value, and I can give the default value to my column so that it will always show this default value, for example USA, right? And I will add some more columns here, but let's see how our table looks like till now. So you can go to this view button here and just click it, and it will ask you to save the changes. You say yes, and you are now in the view of the table. So you can see here we have EID, name, last name, date of birth, and the country column has default value USA, which we have given default value. Now there is a concept called primary key. So if you don't, if you have noticed that this EID has this small key symbol before it, it's not necessary that you need to give only this to your this key to your uh, column, but what this primary key does is it is a row, or it is a column which uniquely identifies your row data. Okay, because each employee ID will be different or unique in itself. Two employee ID cannot be same, and that's the primary purpose of primary key. So primary key is a identifier which is unique in itself. Okay, so employee ID in our case is a unique column which will distinguish the row data. And you can remove this primary key by just clicking this button once again. You see here, now there is no primary key. You can give the primary key to any column, for example this one, or you can change it to this one once again. But try choosing the primary key which is unique, so which contains the unique data, and you will be able to differentiate your row data on the basis of this primary key. So two primary key cannot be same, okay, as a rule of thumb. Okay, now we will save this and we will go to the view. Okay, and when you see here, because it's auto increment, when I click here in this first name column and I enter some value, for example Mark, this is auto generated because you see here it's auto number, so it is automatically generated even if you don't give any value to it. Okay, so it has taken the value 1. Last name, for example some name. Date of birth, you see here it takes the input in some format we have given, in which we have given. So it takes the format, we will give the format 19 June 88 for example, and the default value for the country is already USA. And once you enter the data for the table, you can save your data and this data will be saved, right? You can once again go to the design section and you can add more values here, right? So what else we can give? We can give telephone number, for example. So I will say phone, and you can give phone number as a numerical value. So naturally you will think that if it's a telephone number, you can enter the numerical value. But for example, if you want to give your phone number in brackets with your country codes or some city codes, then you can always choose text, and you can go to the property and you can choose your input mask. So I will leave it as a text, and I will go to input mask and I will click this button once again and I will say yes. And there are some default input type which you can choose, for example password, phone number, or you can create your input types also. So for example, you want to create input type for your phone number. I already have this input type phone number, but for example I want to create a new input type for a phone number. What I can do is I can add it list. I can just click this button, add it list, and I will say next, because one phone number already exists, and then I can give a new input type in this list. So for example, I want to enter new telephone number and the input mask. So input mask is the form of data in which you want to enter your data. So this can be seen from the help how you can give input mask. So just click your help here and it will open this page here, and you can scroll down and there is a table here, and this will give you an idea what is what. So whenever you give 0 here, user must enter a digit. When you give 9 here, user can enter a digit, or whenever you give L here, user must enter a letter, and you can read this list. what is what. So for example, I will give this zeros here so that user must enter the values, because the phone number must contain a certain number of digits, right? For example, I will give this bracket, and inside this I will give 000. So I will give bracket 000, once again a bracket, and then a normal number. So this three number will be, for example, city code, and outside the bracket will be the phone number. So I will give, for example, 5-digit phone number or 6-digit phone number. So I will add six zeros here. Okay, and once you are done, just close it, and it says field cannot be empty. Sample data, you can give sample data. For example, the city code is 222 and the phone number is 123456. Okay, or 5. I have entered only 5 zeros. I can add one more, and I can add one more 6 here, and I will close it. And you can see our data type is added here in the list, and you can finish it. Now whenever you go to view, you just need to save it, and you can see here you can enter the number in the format you have provided, some number. Okay, now for example, your employee comes from different countries, and you know the list of the countries you want in this country column. So just go to your design, just select your country column, and there is a data type called lookup wizard, which enables you to give a list or list of values you want to provide. So just choose this. I will type in the values that I want. Just choose the second option and click next, and here you can give the list of values you want to see. For example, first value of the country is USA, second will be UK, third maybe India, fourth maybe Germany, China, and France, for example. And just click next and click finish. So now when you go to view here, just save it, you and when you want to add it this country, you will have this combo box, and you can see you have the list and you can choose the values from the list. Okay, so for example, I choose China and I save the data, and I give one more data, for example, some name, surname, and the date of birth. Let's see, what can I give? Date of birth and the telephone number starts from here, and I will just save the data here. So in this way you can create a database, you can create a table, you can create a column inside the table, and you can punch in data in your tables. So I think that's enough for this video. In the next video I will discuss some more features of Access database. So I hope you will be watching these videos, and I hope you have enjoyed this video. Please rate, comment and subscribe, and bye for now.